Bigfoot Club. Bigfoot Club for life.
Too sweet!
Bigfoot Club for life.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bigfoot Club. Robert Jesse Dominguez, Ash Tucker, Steven Robert Dominguez. Believe in us. Believe in Bigfoot Club because we are too
This is Matt Knapp of Bigfoot Crossroads, and you're listening to Bigfoot Club Podcast.
Hey guys, if you're listening to Bigfoot Club on any of these platforms, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher, Google Play, Alexa, YouTube, Listen Notes, or Deezer, please give us a comment, a like, a subscription, give us a follow. We would greatly appreciate it. Also, please like and follow us on Bigfoot Club Facebook page. We are Bigfoot Club 1. That's number 1. We're also on Twitter. Our handle is @Bigfoot Club 1. If you have any Bigfoot paranormal or strange stories, please email us at bigfootclub1@gmail.com. Please check out Matt Knapp's YouTube channel, Bigfoot Crossroads and Cryptic Tales. Also give a listen to Crazy Cat Paranormal Speaks with John and Cecilia Clark. They are on all platforms.
Bigfoot Club, episode 39, Robert Jesse Dominguez. Continue our interview with Oscar Mendoza. I hope you enjoy it.
Like I said, I write the stories for La Raza, for people. But it's funny because, I get contacted all over the world. I mean, all over the world, man. I get people contact me from Africa, from Saudi Arabia, from London, from Japan, from all over the world. They tell me the same story, dude. It's kind of weird. They all like relate to something I said. They're like, sorry, I'm Google translating this, but I need your help and this and that, this. And so many people want my help. I was like, man, it's scary, because everything. Everything I said, something's happened like that to somebody somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is it the same demon, Is it the same thing? Because it seems like whatever it is, it hunts people down, It's funny because I always tell people that I understand why kids go missing. Sometimes, there's kids that go missing in their room or in the woods or in their backyard. Because these things, whatever these things are, they take them, They take them. Because when I was a little kid, man, these things would come after me like crazy. They wanted me, and that's when with that zombie ghost clown thing and the pig man and the smiling man all come from. In Netflix, they make it seem like it's one person. Mm-hmm. In reality, it was different demons, and it's very scary, man, because, if you have kids, how do you defend your kids from something like that?
Right.
You can't. There isn't, because this thing is under the bed, it's in the closet, especially, like little ones. And I remember when I first had my daughter, I was praying to God that she didn't have my gift. I was like, I don't want her to suffer like I suffered. I suffered a lot when I was younger. It's funny because when you're a kid and you're asking your parents for a psychiatrist, because you think you're crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Small kid is asking their parents that, and I did actually, growing up, I did have a counselor that she not only did she believe my story, she wanted to take me away from my parents. Or from the house, because she thought the house was haunted. Because I used to go to school with bruises and bite marks and scratches and stuff, and she knew it was my parents. She knew, so she would do these she would do these like sessions where she would put me in a room, and she had her husband with a camera, and they were asking me these questions and showing me these cards, and like they're trying to see if I have any kind of like weird abilities. And well, if you hang around me long enough, you'll see stuff too.
Yeah.
And
I felt,
so I started telling them.
I was just going to say, when I was watching the show on Netflix and Travel Channel, I felt really bad for you because, like, I know you were, because I can relate. You were saying, growing up in Oak Cliff, whenever you're poor, you don't have the option to, hey, I want to change rooms, or hey, I want to move out of this house.
Right.
And if your parents and if your parents don't support you, you just gotta tough it out.
I think that's kind of a common theme with a lot of ghost stories like that. Like, I can't remember the one that The Haunting in Connecticut's based on.
Right.
That was the thing. It's like they just moved into this house and had basically gone broke for this so they could be closer to the hospital for their kid to get treatment, and he still needed to take his treatment, and all this stuff was happening. So what are they supposed to do?
Yeah.
They're upside down in this house. They just got to have to deal.
So I feel bad for you, Oscar. I mean, watching that episode.
It's weird because I haven't even seen those episodes. You know why?
Why?
Because as soon as these things will come back. I lock them away in my mind, and people don't understand. This is raw emotion, dude. This is let me start from the beginning, dude. When I was born, I was born different. My parents, my mom, was different. Because my mom would find me in the closet when I was a little kid, like a baby, or find me like on the floor, and she didn't understand why. And when I started getting older, I started getting visited by this thing called the Smiling Man. And this was like a really skinny person wearing a suit and wearing like one of those fedora hats, and he had a huge smile like the Joker but bigger. And he would just sit there look at me, and he would follow me home. And the first time I was there by myself, I went looking for my aunt. And I remember my mom gave me $1. I was like maybe 4 years old, 5 years old. She gave me $1, and I used to go down Davis. What Davis is at. Back in the days, there used to be like a bodega at the end of Davis by the hospital. And there was like 3 buildings there. So we used to go down there to buy candy and stuff. And I thought my aunt, which is my dad's little sister, had left me. So I went down the alley behind Bishop, by next to Haynes and Bishop. There's an alley that you could take, and I was walking on that alley. I was like 4 or 5 years old. That's when it attacked me, man. This thing, I guess it finally figured, got me by myself, and it followed me. I saw it come out of like a cross face, like a zombie man, and it looked at me, and I made eye contact with it, and then I guess it realized I could see it, so it started following me. Like, it had this weird like movement where like it didn't have a spine, so it was like trying to catch itself. So like, this thing would follow me, and then I remember thinking, "Oh shit!" And then when I saw it really close to me, I peed my pants. I was little, so I started running to the bodega. And then in there, I told the guy, it was a Cuban guy. He was like, "Hey, something's following me." And so his son, jumped over the counter, and he looked around. He didn't see anything. And he goes, "Go wash yourself in the restroom." So I went to wash myself in the restroom. And then inside the restroom, he was there. The thing was waiting for me. The light would flicker off and on, and he was there. So I ran out, and I told the guy, "Hey, it's in the restroom. It's in the restroom." So they both went in there with bats, but they didn't see anything. And they goes, "Well, I think your aunt's next door at the laundromat." So I went next door. They go, "There was just a room across." So I walked to the next room, and they were in the same room, and nobody was there. And it was stuff like that. It was, they would attack me violently. These things, whatever these things were, they were very violent. They would bite me. They would choke me. They would do all kinds of weird shit to me, man. And funny because when I started school, this counselor, she was really young, and she was super young, and she believed me. She believed me that something was attacking me, and she did all kinds of stuff, to help me. And her last resort was like getting me out of the house. And my parents won't let her. Like, he's my kid. You can't do anything about it. And she was like, we need to get him out of that house, kind of thing. And it's just the whole thing happening. My mom's like, no, because I was like, 6, 7 years old, and this lady knew something was in that house attacking me. Because let me tell you about the pigman story. And the smiling man, what's going on. My dad had found this house in Oak Cliff. So I was complaining so much about this guy, and my dad found this house like down the street, literally down the street. And he had this deal with this old lady that if he moved all her stuff, you could move in. He'll sell the house to her. And it was just the old lady living with like 20 cats. And so, my dad and my brother and myself, we at the time, I think my brother was like 8 and I was like 7. And we're moving stuff out of our house. It took us all day to just do the living room and the bedroom. And then finally, my dad goes, whoever cleans these bedrooms, it's your room. So, my brother was like, heck yeah, because we lived in an apartment and we shared a room. So this is the first time we're ever going to get our own room. So we're desperately trying to get these rooms cleared out. And my brother had gone to get some chickens. And then I told my dad, let me open that door there, because there was one room that nobody's touched yet. And I couldn't open it because it was locked. It's one of those old-timey locks where it has that long skeleton key, and we didn't have it. And so we asked the owner, hey, do you have the key? And she goes, no, we haven't opened that door like in 20 years. He goes, but there's nothing but junk in there. And he goes, well, whatever. So I went back to the room with the screwdriver because I was going to pop that lock, And when I walked into the kitchen, because the room was next to the kitchen, and I walked next to it, the door was open. I said, how'd you know? Did I do that? Because I couldn't figure out. Maybe I kicked it hard enough that it opened. So I didn't really care. And at the time we didn't have any lights or any water because there were between the transition between moving. So I got a candle, and at this time it was like 6 or 7 at night. So it was coming. It was getting dark, but it wasn't dark yet. So I opened the door, right, and I got a little birthday candle, and I walk in, and there's nothing but boxes, man, huge boxes. Like you said, it was a storage area. It was huge. It had no windows, nothing. It was just a huge place. So I walk in, I turn to the left, and I keep on walking, and I start smelling this weird, like, manure smell, dude, like cat piss, and it was really cold. And just remember, this lady had like 100 cats. Who knows how many cats she had? She had a lot. And I started walking, and then I hit the wall. And then once I hit the wall, that's when I heard it. I heard pig noises. Whenever they're cleaning a pig and they're going, like that, that's what I heard. So I quickly turn around, and I walk, and I hit this man's belly. I hit him, and he swung like he was hanging from the ceiling. And he had this black coat and this red vest. I remember seeing the pattern from the vest. I remember seeing the shirt, and I remember his body like just dangling. And then I look up, and he has this rope around his neck. He's like this big dude had the rope around his neck, and I wanted to see his face, but I couldn't see it, And that's when he grabbed my shoulder, and he goes, "Hey, boy, what are you doing here?" And then I took off running. Bam! I took off running, and I went the opposite direction. And then I remember hitting the wall so hard that I saw stars. And I turned around, and I could see this dude just floating towards me. When I could hear those pigs behind him, all around me. So I started crying. And then all of a sudden, my dad kicks the door down. Bam! And he grabs me. He goes, "How the hell did you get in this room? It was locked." And not only that, but I was in the closet in the room. And he goes, how the hell did you get in this room and in this closet? It was all locked. He pulled me out, right? And I was crying. And he goes, are you all right? What's going on? And I didn't want to tell him what I saw because we just left in the apartment because I was scared of it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to tell him that because it was haunted too. So I kept it to myself, and that ended up being my room. And so this thing, whatever it was, it kept on attacking me every night. And it would talk to me at night. And so what I ended up doing, I ended up sneaking in like NyQuil bottles and drinking them. I was like 7, 8 years old to knock myself out. And I just sleep under my bed, you know, I just sleep under this. And I couldn't, you know, I couldn't stop whatever it was. And that's why that teacher was always trying to take me away from that house because he thought the house was haunted, but in reality, it was me that was haunted. You know, I could have gone to any house. Something would have been in there, you know, trying to get me.
I was gonna.
It was.
Was that is this the house that you went to Sunset with, or you were still at Sunset whenever?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
That's the same house my parents still live in, and you know, and fun fact that nobody uses that room right now. We use it as storage. The same way that other families use it as storage, we use it as storage too.
Did you ever? I mean, I know you see these entities all the time. Do you ever like, especially with your parents' house? Did you ever like research like who was there before or who this person was or anything like that?
You know what? I did try once and I couldn't find anything. The only thing I did find was that the area we're in was a farm. It was like a farming area.
Okay.
And I believe that maybe they raised pigs there, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, the stuff like that, you know, scares me. But when I hear other things, when I was in college, I moved out to San Antonio. And I came home and my aunt lived in my room. My aunt, my mom's younger sister, lived in my room, right? And then we were having a cookout, and my aunt pulls me to the side. And she goes, "Hey, let me talk to you for a second." I'm like, okay. She goes, "Have you ever seen anything in that room?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Do you ever see the pig?" And remember, I never told her anything about it. I never told anybody what I saw. You know, and she goes, I see a pig in the closet, and I see a man hanging from the closet from his neck. He goes, "Have you seen that?" It goes, "I keep that door locked all the time." And I freaked, you know, I was like, "Yes, I've seen him before," you know. And then she told me a story about that when my parents went to Mexico, that they had left my dad's best friend in the house, and then she wasn't staying there. She was staying in some other house, but he called her and he told him what happened. And he goes, "Well, what happened?" He goes, "Well, he stayed the night there. He stayed the night in my parents' room." And he said that he woke up at night and he heard pigs in the blue room, which is the room that was mine. He heard pigs crying and he heard the door slamming. And so he took off running, you know, and took off running and he called her from some other house. He goes, "I'm not staying in this house anymore," you know. I say, wow. And, you know, it's funny because we all didn't, you know, I didn't know these stories, but you know, my aunt was telling me about this thing. And she was really scared, man. She goes, "Man," he goes, "I saw some evil stuff in that house." It's like, about time somebody believes me, you know.
Yeah, what's great about this is that you didn't tell them anything. They came back to you and told you about it, and that's a great thing about you. It's the validation, you know.
Now, you know, it's funny because people always think that ghosts look a certain way or something. They don't, man. Because I really saw what this thing was. I saw, because my brother Juan, you know, he could see things too, but not like me. And he always told me that he sees this huge spider in the corner of our room, or corner of my room, that would sit in the corner. And I say, "Well, tell me how this spider looks like." He goes, "It has a face like a man and has like long arms, and it hangs in the corner. And at night it comes down and walks like a person." I was like, "Holy shit!" You know, like, you know, it didn't just haunt me; it haunted my brother too. But the scariest thing I ever heard was from my neighbor. You know, years passed, and my neighbor's older. You know, he's like in his 30s or whatever. we're having beers, man, and we're just talking, and he goes, "Hey, man." He goes, man, because what happened was that he owned a duplex, right? He lived on one side with his family, and he rented the other side to like a regular family. And he told me that they couldn't keep him in that duplex. He goes, people only last like a month. And I asked him why. He goes, dude. He goes, every family complained that it was haunted. He goes that they would hear a pig at night, and it was like, they heard a pig. He goes, yes. Like, holy shit, the same thing I heard, So I guess it was haunting the whole street, not just my house, So I was like, man, that was, when somebody confirms, your story, it makes it even scarier because it's still there, Whatever this thing is, it's never left. It's still there. We locked it in the room.
Did your parents ever? I know you kind of say on the show that your dad doesn't talk about stuff like that, but did your parents ever talk about that they've seen stuff or?
Oh yeah, now they do. It back then, it was like a taboo, man. It was like, what my parents always told me not to fear the dead, they actually fear the living, And I'm thinking that's true, it is true, man. But when you see stuff like that, dude, it breaks your mind, It really does, man, because your brain isn't wired to see stuff like that, it's because like I said, I'm a logical person, and the first thing I do is want to logically explain what's going on, and then sometimes I think maybe I'm just seeing it in my mind, and then I wake up with bruises and bites and stuff, and I know it's real, I know 100% it's real, and I wish it wasn't. I wish, because people always say, "Oh man, you got blessed by God. You can see these things." Like, no, man, It's not a blessing, it's a curse, dude. It's a curse because I can't stop it. I don't even know how to stop it. I'm like it's like being in a roller coaster, man. You're on there. You don't want to be on there, but you're still on there. And that's why I always boggle my mind when I see these paranormal shows that they're looking for things, and I always telling myself, man, they don't know what they're asking for.
Yeah.
Because if they find what they're looking for, I promise you, it will end up good.
I get I mean, I've been on other paranormal shows like podcasts, and they people ask me, hey, I wish I could see this, or I wish I could, have ghosts visit me. I said, no, you don't, because you open that door, you're never going to be able to close it ever.
They don't understand it. They want cheap thrills.
Yeah.
And people think it's easy to do too. It's not something that's really all that common. And I think a lot of people, at least in my experience, they get jaded about that because they think, oh, well, I mean, on TV you don't have a person off screen in real life pulling that filament string or whatever, or editing it.
Yeah. Because especially when people ask me about what's more scary, Bigfoot or paranormal? I say paranormal, because Bigfoot you can go home and you're okay.
Yeah.
But not paranormal.
Until they learn how to drive.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Steven. I'm
sorry. I was just so intrigued with the stories.
Yeah.
I was just like,
well, I was asking when we took a break. I was like, did he, is he still there?
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Okay.
I'm looking over my shoulder a couple times, but I'm still here.
Yeah.
Oscar, continue, man. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I have a Wendigo story if you want to hear it.
Oh,
yes.
Always, man. Okay, let me tell you. We have an episode with my nephew on there, and I just went and visited my sister this weekend, and he's like, I need your help for a project. I want to build a Wendigo model, but I want to start with like a human skeleton, like a small one, not a real one. I'm like, oh, well, that's good. The small one, not a real person.
Yeah. Is this a firsthand story?
Oh,
or
yeah. This is a first-hand story. I have actually two Wendigo stories. I just took a DNA test, just to, for some reason I thought my dad wasn't my dad, so I wanted to prove it right because I look different from all my family.
Yeah.
I feel different. I'm different.
Yeah.
And so I took one of those ancestry tests, right? And I came back with the result, and yes, I am my dad's kid, right? But it came back with a really odd thing, dude. It came back that said I was 64% American Indian. I was like, what? That's odd, like literally, like I think it was a Navajo or something. And I was like, well, that's weird, and so I was like, how is that even possible? But you know what? It's a different story. Anyways, but this would explain what happened to me. The first time I saw a Wendigo, I saw it in San Antonio. We did a ghost tour, and I no when I mean we did a ghost tour, I took my little brother because he came visit me in college. He was like 14, and I didn't have any money to take him to Six Flags, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give you a ghost tour of San Antonio. So I got him in my car, but then my friends with beer, and we went looking for ghosts, right? But with me, it's like I'm like the magnet, it comes to me. So we went to all these different locations, and I wrote about this, by the way. But at the end of this, the last stop, it was this thing called Apache Lookout, and it's like a big hill, and on top of the hill they have this like tower. And then you to get to this hill, you have to go around in like this trail and then go all the way up to this lookout, And supposedly you see Indians and you see like gunfights because there's a lot of like slaughter. A lot of Indians were slaughtered in this area and stuff. So it's supposedly really haunted. So I took my brother to this place, and not only my brother, but it was like a bunch of us. And it was around 3 a.m. when we got there, and we started walking in. And right halfway there, we hear people talking, like they're like, he's over there, like we started freaking out, like, oh shit, somebody else is here. And then my friend goes, did you see that person? He goes, see what? He said, I saw a man standing by the tree, and he looked like he was wearing some like white paint. I was like, no, I didn't see him. So I kept on walking, and then we heard gunshots. Bah, 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 bah. I said, oh shit. So we started running to the car. And I told you know what, let's just go home, dude. So my little brother's freaked out by this time, and I took him to Antonio at Chacho's and stuff, which is like a real late night eating. We had to eat some tacos, whatever. I came home, and then I had a dorm room, and I had my own room. So my little brother was sitting on the floor, and I stayed on the bed. And then as soon as I fell asleep, something woke me up. And I got up really fast. I felt this, because, whenever something's in the room, I could feel it, man. I could feel it on my skin. Something else is in the room with them. And my little brother, he also felt it. So he jumps on the bed with me. And then it's like, what's going on? I could feel it. And then from the corner of the room, we saw this little Indian guy. He's wearing all white face, and he's wearing like a blue shirt. No, is it a blue or gray shirt? I forget. He's wearing like these pants, but he's an Indian. He's maybe 15 years old. He's young. And he sees me, and he grabs like a axe or like a whatever tomahawk, and he comes at me, and he goes after me like he wants to hit me. But then he halfway to me, he stops, and he walks back slowly, and he sinks into this the darkness and stuff. But the way he looked, man, he looked like half animal, half human. It was one of the oddest things ever. And I told my old brother, and my brother's like, what was that? We didn't know what it was. We thought it was something that broke in. And I think since I have Indian blood, it followed me home, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It wanted to say something to me. And then when we made contact, it didn't know anything else but to attack me. But it didn't attack me. It just halfway did, and then went away.
That's kind of odd.
Yeah, it is, right? Well, it's odd, okay. We used to do guide trips every year, right? And this time we went to Lake Tahoe. Well, my friends from college, and there was a bunch of us. And we went to this bar, we're in the middle of nowhere, and we had to cross this reservation. And then we needed to go to the restroom really fast, so we stopped, and everything was closed 3 a.m. So we took a restroom break at the reservation, right? And then my friend goes we shouldn't be doing this, dude, because it might be like sacred land or something. And he goes, man, we really got to go. So we used the restroom. We got in the car and we took off. And then we're staying in the casino on is it South Lake Tahoe? And we're staying in the casino. And so I had my own room, and one of my friends had flown in, and he didn't have a room, so he was staying with me. So he was staying in one bed, and I stayed in the other bed. Excuse me. And at night, when I was asleep, my friend wakes me up. Like, he was scared shitless. He was like yanking me, like, dude, wake up, wake up. And I was like, what's wrong, dude? What the hell is wrong with you, man? He goes, you didn't feel it? You didn't see it? I said, see what? He goes, you're being attacked, man. You're being attacked in your sleep, and something was talking to you. You were talking in this weird language. He goes, what happened? He goes, man, I heard you talking. I get it. He says he got up, right? And he sees me, and I'm in this like position where I'm trying to protect my face and my hands, And he says that I was talking to somebody that wasn't there, and that whatever it was attacking me, and that stuff was flying around, all this stuff. And he was like, dude, he goes, I had to wake you up, man. I had to wake you up because I freaked out, And I told him, damn, you know what I dreamed? He goes, I dreamed that I was attacked by a man, half wolf, frozen thing, that it came at me with a tomahawk, and it was trying to hit me. And so in my dream, I was trying to like protect myself, right? And he goes, dude, you're talking in a different language. It's like, really? And so I asked one of the people down, at the lobby, like what it, because she was Indian, like a reservation. And she goes, you were attacked by a Wendigo. I was like, that makes sense. I didn't know what it was. I just assumed it was just another ghost. But that's what she said. And it was, man, he was like, wow. Yeah, but that happens to me anytime I visit like a Native American thing. Yeah, something always follows me home, kind of thing. So, but like I said, it happens to me more than often, man. I have this funny story though, if you want to hear it. It's about the Stanley Hotel.
Yes.
Sure.
We
were supposed to go to the Stanley Hotel, but then this thing called COVID happened.
Well, I can tell you one thing that's really haunted, man. It was coming from me. I said something. Me and my wife, we had this like getaway because her job sent her to work there at not Stanley Hotel, but in Denver. And then so she goes, we're gonna have a romantic evening. We're gonna go stay at this real romantic hotel in Estes Park, and we didn't know what it was. We just knew it was like really pretty, and it was like a getaway, like it's a getaway for me and her. And we get there. We drove from Denver to this like 2-hour drive, or like an hour for it. And we get there, and they're double booked. And we're like, hold on, you don't have a room for us? Like, what are we supposed to do? And he goes, there's just one room, but I don't know if you're gonna want it. I said, fuck yeah, man, I'll pay more. What is it? He goes, it's a presidential suite, so if you don't mind paying like $100 more a night, and we'll give this to you. So, yeah, sure. I they were booked, like big time booked. There was nothing left. And yeah, sure, I'll take it. So we took it, right? And I didn't know anything about the Stanley Hotel at all, like nothing. Like I said, it was my wife's company trip. I was just there as a guest, and so we get there, and the guy goes, well, it's not ready yet, but it's like, just here's $25 coupon, and go out there and buy beer or whatever, because they had a bar there. He goes, all right. So we went out there, and I noticed that they had keys, like in the souvenir shop. They have these keys and all this stuff. Like, oh, look, our room has a key. I wonder if everybody has a key, And it was like room 435 or something on the 4th floor. And we didn't think nothing of it, dude. We did not think nothing of it. It was a beautiful place. So we went up there to the room, and we put our stuff in, and we went out drinking. Went out, have dinner and drank a little bit, and we come home. We come to the room, and these hotels don't have air conditioning, so you gotta open the window for the you want to, it gets kind of too warm, whatever. So I'm a real light sleeper. I can't sleep unless it's, I just can't sleep in an odd place. So my wife fell asleep really fast, but I didn't. I stayed up, and finally, I was too tired, so I fell asleep. And at the time, my son was like maybe 3 years old, 4 years old. And then, I don't know if you have kids, but whenever they're little, you can see them running around the room, around your bed, trying to, wake you up, whatever, right? And I fell asleep. I swear to God, I saw this little blonde boy run across the room and pull my leg. And I said, what the fuck? And I woke up real quick. I was like, no, that had to be a dream, So I fall asleep again, and they pull my arm this time. Wow. I mean, really violently, man. And I said, holy shit, something's here. So what I do when that happens, I curl my feet up in my body. I make myself like a little ball, so they won't pull my feet or legs. And then this thing pulls the sheets, and my wife goes, what's going on? Oh, it's nothing. Go to sleep, And I'm trying to go to sleep, but every time I close my eyes, it pulls my legs. It pulls something, So I finally called the concierge, and I told him, hey, man, do you have another room we could stay in? We can't really stay in this room. He goes, no, sir. He goes, that's the only room there is available. I said, man, I was tempted to sleep in the lobby, dude, because it was really bad. I mean, whatever this thing wasn't letting me sleep. So, I finally fell asleep, and I wake up, and I see this man sitting in a chair wearing this yellow suit with this, like, weird-looking hat. And once we see each other, he gets up, and he calls somebody, and these two little boys run through him, and they go into the closet. And I was like, what the fudge was that? Because he was dressed like a Mountie. You know what a Mountie is? Like one of those Rangers.
Canadian,
I thought he was dressed like
Canadian guy,
yeah. He was, except that his suit was like khaki or yellow-ish, and he had these weird pants. Anyways, the next day, man, I went over there and complained to the damn concierge, man, because I couldn't sleep. And he goes, well, sir, you slept in the most haunted room in this building. He goes, what? It ended up being that was the old colonel's room. And it was like colonel that built this hotel, and that was his room. That he stayed in that room because they used to do hunting. And I was like, well, what about the kids, man? He goes, they're little kids. Well, it ended up being that in the 1800s or 1900s, wherever this was built, families would go out there hunt for the whole like whenever they're hunting season. So they'll leave their kids in the fourth floor. That's what the nursery was at. Well, a lot of these kids were dying from like smallpox or yellow fever, and they were dying in that area, and that's why there's so many haunted, like so many kids there. And like we didn't know this at all, man. Like at all. If I would have known that, I would have stayed there. But but that hotel is gorgeous. If you ever get to stay there, man, don't stay in the fourth floor. I'll tell you that right now.
If you want to sleep.
Yeah, if you want to sleep.
If you want to sleep, exactly.
The damn kids, man. No.
But what's the scary thing about Stanley Hotel isn't scary. There's just ghosts there. There's a lot of ghosts and stuff. But I think the scariest place for me, anyways, is it's probably like San Antonio. I think San Antonio has a lot of dead things there, man. Everywhere. I always get what they call the Scooby sense. It's like, oh shit, I got this sense. I do this ghost tour. I did it before COVID, but I used to do this ghost tour in Dallas, and I did take people to these really haunted spots, But to me, like to a regular person, haunted is like a 5, But to me, I mean, if I take their place, it's going to be a 20 on the haunted scale, instead of from 1 to 10, it's a 20. And so I take these people to these haunted spots, man, and they're on no cliff, by the way. And one time, this older dude, he was like in his 30s, he started crying, man. I was like, what's wrong with you, man? He goes, no, man, I don't want to be in this tour anymore, dude. It's like, why? He goes, I feel this really bad energy and stuff. And I said, shit, because I make him sign a waiver. I make him sign a waiver that if something happens to you, it's not my fault, because I'm really taking you to these really haunted spots. in the OC, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people think I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, man. You know, I take him to this place. What is it? I'm sure y'all probably gone there. You're from Oak Cliff. Combs Creek Bridge. You ever been there?
I don't think I have.
Everybody's been there once, you know, in their lifetime. It's that bridge over there by Mountain View, I think. And it's like a railroad, and then you go underneath it, and it's supposedly haunted. Remember? I don't know if anyone of y'all remember that.
I've been to Mountain View, but I don't think I've ever been in that bridge.
Oh man, it's you have to go before they knock it down. I think the city does knock it down, but man, it's an old Civil War bridge. Back in the day, they used to hang like slaves from that bridge, you know, the runaway slaves, and the Texas Rangers used to hang people from that bridge too. So it's also called the Hangman's Bridge. Well, anyways, there's this really scary ghost story from that place. But this isn't my story. It's just the urban legend. I don't know if you heard it. You want to hear it?
Yeah.
It is very scary. Okay. Well, that bridge is haunted by a ghost named Henry, and it's also haunted by a little girl that got run over by a car. But Henry is the most scariest one because supposedly he's buried underneath the bridge. And what happened was that, and I heard this story from a lunch lady at my school, and she was a black lunch lady, and she was really old, and she told me about this man they used to call him Shorty, and he was like supposedly a child molester, and what he used to do, he used to go walk around Oak Cliff and with a stick and a bag, and he'd kill cats. You know, he'll pop them in the head and put them in a bag, and he will walk around the neighborhood banging on cans, and these cats would come out, and he'll hit them, and then he'll put them in a bag and stuff, right? So the kids would call him the Cat Man, you know, the Cat Man come in, and I think he was a little bit like mentally challenged, so people would make fun of him, and he would carry this sack with cats in his bag and stuff and walk around. Well, one day, supposedly he worked at the train station, and what he did for the train station, he would like fix the train thing, you know, like the rails. So he was out there, he was out there by Combs Creek because it's a train bridge. He was out there and he chased his cat, and his foot got stuck in between the wood, and he knocked himself out. So what happened was a train came by and ran him over, and cut his head off in his hand, and his head fell into the creek down below, and they never found it. And back in those days, if you died while working at for the railroad, you had no family that would bury you right next to the place you died. So they would just dig a hole and just throw you in there, right? Especially he was an ex-slave, you know, back in the days. I'm talking about like early 1800s. I mean, early 1900s or late 1800s. And this guy was older, so they buried him somewhere around that area. So now people say that like around that neighborhood around South Oak Cliff, if you say that Henry's name, that he'll show up, and the way you'll know he's around you is because the cats will start crying. They're like meow meow.
Yeah.
You can hear a train coming, and if you can hear both at the same time, the train and cats crying, that means Henry is around your house.
Yeah, that's not creepy at
In a
all.
way,
No,
you know,
that's
that
lovely.
that he will crawl towards your window and knock on your window, or get it underneath your house and go through your crawl space and stuff, and he would look for his head, so that's a well, anyways, that's a story. So when I did my ghost story, I told people that story,
Mm-hmm.
and then it had this, and the odd thing about that area too is that there's a lot of suicides there. Every year somebody kills himself in that same spot, dude. And then in the 70s, the house next to it, there's a house like literally right next to it. There was an axe murder there. Somebody had killed their family, and then ever since then nobody's lived in the house. And all this is the same little area. So when I do my ghost story, I go there, and this dude had this little like recorder. Right, he was recording, talking about like, oh, you're here, let me know. And he goes, who's this? And he goes, Henry. And remember, I just told him that story about Henry, right? Man, he started freaking out. And he goes, let's go. And man, he just, whatever he felt, man, it made him cry. You know, and it was a grown man. He was like, oh my God. Because like I said, I don't want people to get followed home, you know, because this thing is a real thing, you know, it's a real person, a real spirit and stuff. And I kind of feel bad because it's like you want to go see a shark, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I take it was a shark, but except that this shark is like a Jaws, you know, it's like a big shark. And so it always warned people, yeah, understand, I attract these things to me. And our last stop in that tour is this house called the Demon House. And this house, I'm sure everybody's seen it. Like if you live in Oak Cliff, you've seen this house. It's off the freeway by Tomby. It's if you're going down the freeway and then you look up at this real crazy looking house right at the corner by the edge of the woods. And it you know, you can see it now if you ever go that way. And it's kind of like by the zoo. Anyways, that's what we call the Demon House. And the reason we call it Demon House is because there's a little boy that haunts that house. It's a demon boy. Because no kid ever lived there. So we can't explain why this little kid haunts that place. And that is the most paranormally active location we have. Every time somebody takes a picture, they see a little kid in the window. You know, and supposedly if the house is sealed, like somebody had like locked the doors and nobody lives there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to a neighbor that lives around there. He goes that the reason they steal the house is they can't sell it because it's cursed or it has a little demon inside the house. It's like, holy shit, that's the same thing I've heard. You know, like, man, this is true. I have pictures if you want to see, man. People send me pictures of this house all the time. And you could see a little boy inside the window, like not like buried. No, you could see him. You could see his face, everything. So, and the thing about this kid is that he looks like a 3-year-old, like a 4-year-old, and he'll run from you, you know, and he appears to you like around 4 a.m. So you're kind of worried, like, what is this little kid doing out here? You know, so you finally catch up to him, and what he does, he'll ask you 3 times, hey, do you want to be my friend? And when he's a little kid, it's like, sure, why not? And he'll ask you again, are you sure you want to be my friend? And again, you tell him, yeah, sure, why not, you know? And then the last time he'll tell you, you sure you want to be my friend? Because if you're not my friend, and if you tell anybody where I live, I'll kill you. So you turn around like, what the, you know?
Yeah.
And he goes, sure. What's a 3-year-old, 4-year-old going to do to me, right? So he turns around, he's all burnt. He has no fingers. He looks like Freddy Krueger. He starts running towards you because he wants you to hug him. And the first thing you do is run, right? Well, anyways, you know, when I was in Sunset, I had a friend named Mikey, and he you know, he lived in the same neighborhood I did. And around 2 a.m, he started knocking into my window. He goes, hey man, let me in, dude. My brother was like, dude, don't let him in. He was probably getting chased by cops or something, you know. And we told him, no man, just come in. So he runs around to the front door, and we let him in, and he shuts the door and then locks it. And I told him, what the hell are you bringing over here, dude? We don't want any trouble, you know. I was like, no man, just let's go to your room real quick. Let's go to your room. So we take him to my room. My room is a brew room, which has no windows, you know. And we're there sitting on the floor, and he goes, just be quiet, be quiet. He goes, don't say anything. And I'm like, is somebody chasing you? What the hell's going on, you know? And he goes, I can't tell you, man. I can't tell you. He goes, my brother, goes, tell us, please. Tell us the hell's going on. He goes, well, I was over there by you know, South Oak Cliff, and they were spray painting that demon house. But this is in high school, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're spray painting that area. And back then, it was all woods there. There was no house. There was no school, nothing. It was all woods. So the only way to get to the house is a little trail. And then you get to the house. And they were spray painting that house, and it was him and 2 other friends. And then he sees little boys that ran from the woods into the house. And he goes, man, this little kid shouldn't be in this house, you know? So he runs and follows this little boy down to the basement. And then Mikey said that he found him next to the boiler room because his house has a basement. And he goes, he tells the little boy, hey, you shouldn't be here. You should come with me. I'll take it to your mom, your dad, whatever. And he goes, no, I live here. And he goes, no, you don't live here. He goes, yeah, I live here, you know. And he goes, well, come with me anyways. I don't want to leave you by yourself. And he asked him, the little boy asked Mikey, hey, do you want to be my friend? Mikey's like, what? I goes, come on, man, let's go. And he goes, no, you have to be my friend. And you can't tell anybody where you found me, because if you do, I'll kill you and your friend. And then Mikey goes, what? I said, you're crazy. So Mikey tries to pick him up. And the kid, like, he makes himself like more into the corner. And he goes, yes, I'll be your friend. He goes, do you promise? Because if you tell anybody where you saw me, I'll kill you and anybody that you told. And so he goes, sure, whatever, you know, whatever. And Mikey agrees, and he turns around. He said that the little kid was all burned, that he only had like 2 fingers, and the other hand was all burned. And so he ran out, you know, him and his friends ran out the house, and they started running. And the little kid chased them. They were chasing behind him, so they split up into 3 different locations, because they all live in different locations in Oak Cliff. And Mikey doesn't live in Cliff; he lived in Garland, but he was staying with his grandma. But I was the closest house dude that he knew, so he started knocking on my door. And my brother goes, "Hold on, you let this thing to my house?" And he goes, "Yeah." And at the minute he says that, somebody knocks on the door like this, like, and I was like, "Who the hell is that?" So my brother goes to the front door, and he looks out the window, and there's nobody there. The minute he does that, somebody knocks on the back door. Bam, 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 bam. And I said, shit. I mean, not like knocking. I'm talking like savagely knocking. So my brother runs back door, and he looks into the window, and there's nobody there. And the minute he does that, somebody knocks on the ground underneath the house. Bam, 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 bam. And then we jump, man. We run back to our room and start praying, and we could hear this little kid laughing outside, you know. And then I told Mikey, whatever you brought home, he wants to get in. And we prayed all night, dude. And finally the sun came up, and then we told him, get the hell out, man. And he ran home, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And but whatever it was, it came for us. And that's the same house I take people on the ghost tour to. So, yeah, I always tell people, if you see a little kid, don't
be his friend. Don't be his friend.
Now that I've told you guys, gotta be careful. You know,
yeah. Oscar, are you still doing this tour?
For COVID reasons, we can't, you know, because it's a bus, and usually we get like 20 people, and it's less than 20. It's not really worth it, because it's you know, it's real. Well, this COVID thing is real dangerous, because it's a bus. It's an enclosed space.
Yeah.
And we usually sell out really fast, and so we're not sure how logistically we could do it, you know, without putting people's lives in danger.
Yeah.
COVID.
Yeah.
So we decided not to do the tour, because you know my dad was a bus driver, and he's older, so I don't want to get him infected. And
you could
do it for fun.
You could do like a virtual tour.
Yeah, you know what? I was thinking of doing that. I was thinking of just go by myself and then just show people this thing. But then I was thinking, no, because these things follow me home.
Yeah.
It you know, and a lot of weird shit happens, dude. Every time I do this tour, something happens all the time. Never fails, man. Never fails. Like somebody knocks on my door at midnight, or like around 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Nobody, my car alarm goes off, because I have a Tesla, right? Tesla has cameras everywhere. It goes off all the time. And just in my house, nowhere else that does that, just in my house.
Right.
And then my ring goes off all the time. And then I can hear a little sobbing here and there, you know. And it trust me, I have to, every time I do the tour, man, I have to, like, you know what barrer means with the egg, you know? My mom does that, because she says I shouldn't do that, because I'm inviting things over, and yes, she's 100% right. Because oh my God, so many weird stuff has happened, and people have taken my tour. Stuff happens to them, and I feel bad because they asked for this,
Yeah.
but I'm just giving them what they want, But a lot of these places I take them to, I've never been investigated ever,
Yeah.
ever not. These places are like super haunted, man.
I tell you what, I'd love to go to these parts where you had the Bigfoot stuff. I would love to go back over there just to check it out.
Oh yeah, man. You know what? You can, dude. If you want to check it out, look, in all these places are pretty. What is it like? You know what Lake Cliff is at?
Mm-hmm.
Lake Cliff. Okay, there's a 7-Eleven right next to that.
Okay.
Right. Well, back in the day, there was a 7-Eleven, and then there was a polar bear, right? Across the street from Lake Cliff. Well, all that area is where people saw the Bigfoot, all that little area. But now there's a lot of buildings there. Well, back in the 90s, the 1994, it was nothing out there.
Yeah.
It was vacant lots, and wooded area. Now it's not like that. Now it's all condos and they condos and luxury living. It's still there, but it's never polar bear. I think they knocked down polar bear already, but
we'll probably see
that area is still there.
We'll probably see a Bigfoot with a HOA.
No. Maybe.
No, but you can still hear howls, man. Especially around this time. People hear howls down that way.
I believe it.
towards-
I work in Las Colinas, and I see all kinds of. I work nights over there too, and I see all kinds of wildlife you wouldn't expect because there's a lake and a canal, and
There's a
fish
creek
and
by
turtles, and
There's a creek
Well,
close by there too.
people understand that Oak Cliff has tunnels.
Yeah.
There are tunnels all over the place. And these are tunnels built like in the 1940s. There's an underground city under Dallas. So if something was hiding down there,
It'd be a
nobody
good place.
would know. That'd be a good place.
Yeah.
Because it's huge, man. Look it up. Whenever you have a chance, look up Dallas underground tunnels or underground city. The bootleggers used to use it to smuggle alcohol across Dallas, because you could take a tunnel from Oak Cliff all the way to downtown Dallas.
Wow.
And there's a lot of tunnels, like a huge tunnel system under Dallas. So theoretically, if there was a Bigfoot and it was living in Dallas, it would be down there. You know what I mean? It was a perfect area because all the tunnels entrances are at parks. There's one in Kidd Springs, an entrance in Kidd Springs, and there's one in Lake Cliff, the entrance. So, and it's funny because have you ever seen the Texas, the Chuck Norris show, Texas Ranger? Or Walker, whatever that.
Walker Texas Ranger.
In one of those episodes, he goes down into the tunnels and stuff, and so that they show him on that in one of those. I forget what series. What episode it was. He chases somebody like through the tunnels, and so it's still there. Like people still do urban exploration down there. So it's,
Oscar, we're at the 2-hour mark. Number one, I wanted to thank you for coming on and tell us all these great stories. Is there? I know we said it earlier, but just want to say it again. What's the best way for someone to get in touch with your books and how to get it online?
Yeah, it just go to the www.getfollow.com or just look me up on Google. Just type my name, Oscar Mendoza.
Okay. Those
stories, and I'm all over the place. I do podcasts all the time, and people always interview me from all over the world. I'm on Netflix too. My books are really scary. They're both audiobooks. I suggest you get those because the first one's a guy from some kind of theater company did it. He did an awesome job and it's super scary. And the second one, an actor from LA did it, and he did a pretty good job too. So if you like scary stuff, like really scary stuff, that you should read the books, man.
Yeah.
Or
nice.
read my book.
Okay.
Or watch me on Netflix on Travel Channel. And then my movie's coming out hopefully like around January.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I'd love to have you back on and push that whenever you're available.
Oh yeah, man. I only told you maybe 10% of my story.
Oh,
It's a
hell.
lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
There's a lot of stories that I didn't tell you, like the Smiling Man or the Pig Man and
Yeah.
La Llorona. I have a Llorona story too, but I'll tell you later.
Right on.
It's,
Well, thank you again. Thank you for coming on. I'll post this later on tonight. So, and then I'll post part 2 for next week.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on, man. Anytime you want to talk about ghosts,
Yeah.
or anything really, because I also believe in Bigfoot. I have my theories what Bigfoot is. By the way, I didn't get to that, but I have a feeling why I could see him.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling. But that's a different story. But
Yeah, we can talk about it next time you come on. For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, because I'm gonna have you back on. I just want you to
I
know.
always say I like when we
Yeah.
have good guests because
Yeah.
it makes my job easier. I don't have to do a whole lot. And just let y'all run with it. And I just throw in some commentary. It feels like a break.
No, yeah. Thanks for having me on. And I hope nothing follows you home tonight.
Yeah.
Every
Oh,
time somebody
well.
talks,
What else would we
They
do?
always-
We already have a
Yeah.
little. We have a third roommate already. So
Yeah, I didn't tell you that, Oscar. I got some stuff going on here, and I see it all the time. And but I don't feel it's evil or anything like that. It's just I just see it. But anyway,
yeah.
we can talk about it in another time.
yeah, I can tell you one thing. Every place is haunted, man.
Oh yeah. I
There's
have.
dead-
Yeah. That's how I feel about
so-
it. It's like they're everywhere. Some are louder than others.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I enjoyed it. Like I said,
Everybody, good night.
Well, good night.
good night. Thanks for having me.
Bigfoot Club for life.
I must bid you adieu. And so, goodbye. Mwah. And good night. Bang!